Welcome to another episode of Fight the Burnout. Today we have Toni Turner with us. She helps helps line people up with VAs, virtual assistants. She runs a virtual assistants agency as well as running another business and with aluminum, and she'll tell us all about it. So she's a woman of many hats, as I like to say, and she's here to tell us about her experience with burnout. Now when she signed up, became the victim of another one of our interviews. But when she signed up, she initially wrote in saying that her and her husband at one stage was doing 180 hours combined between the two of them a week working on their business. And then obviously she's identified around the virtual assistant side of stuff, which was really helped. So she's going to tell us a bit about that. But today, Toni, I'll let you take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit who you are, where you are, what you've done, and maybe even an experience with burnout.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much for having me today. And thank you, everybody listening. So I am Toni Turner. I have two businesses. So one is in relation to connecting business owners with virtual assistants. And the other one is a glass and aluminium trade business based here in Perth, Western Australia. So we have really got a really good chalk and cheese type of a base business. But yeah, my husband and I were crazy in working 180 hours combined a week. So I was doing 100 and he was doing 80s also whilst on the tools.
How do you do 100 hours a week?
Yeah, I only had 3 to 4 hours sleep a night. And we also had an 18-month-old baby at that time. So it was insane.
Wow. I'm just going to say, wow. I used to do like 16, 17-hour days doing VIP protection and for a week here, and then I'd have a week off. And I thought that was crazy. But how long did you do that for?
So until we started to realize about the burnout, when we started like, this is enough, we were at month 7. And that continued on until month 10, so October. And that's when I started to be able to reduce my working hours dramatically by using virtual assistants.
Yeah, cool, awesome. So that I take it that was using that was with your glass and
aluminium business. Yeah. So we were growing that company, and so it's an award-winning 7-figure business. Wow. So we were growing it from a startup, and now it's 7 figures. We won awards last year for it as well. So but a few years ago, when we were just going through that massive growth stage, that's when all of our employees hated us. That's when all of our clients were dictating the rules, and we were just like, what's going on here? And we had to work that many hours to restructure the company.
Okay, so you're starting the business up. What made you guys decide to start the business up? So
we started the business like 10 years ago, and then we brought another company to build up our company, and so the merging of those two companies when it went downhill. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Tell us a little bit about the downhill. Where do I start? I actually wrote a book about it. Oh, perfect. Cool. Well, give us the highlights and people can go buy the book. I know. Seriously, like the downhill bit, and like it's just even the top 10. It's in my page of my book. So the employees were stealing from us. They were stealing clients. They were doing work behind our backs on weekends. They were using all of our products and materials. They were stealing cash for any of the jobs that were being completed and saying, no, I didn't get any payment. Like just those alone scream alarm bells, right? Yep, it screams alarm bells of something's not going right. Yeah. So we had all that against us, and that's the reason why we had to work so many hours a week, because we were trying to fix everything. And between the both of us, if it was just me or just my husband doing it, the company would have collapsed. Like there's no way about it. If we weren't working the 180-hour weeks combined, the company would have collapsed. There's no way about it. And it wasn't making any dent or any structural place in the company until about that 7-8 month period when we was like, do you know what? We need to change this again. So yeah. Okay. So this is awesome. This is going to be great. So you did 7 months of doing 180 plus hours a week. You had you started doing that, I take it, because people were stealing from you. You had all those other things that you just said happening. So you went, pushed everybody out, got rid of all the dirty trash,
and went, okay, cool, we're just going to do this and we're going to do it on our own. Why do it on your own? Why was it a trust thing? Was it we can just do it better? What was it? Because I know,
yeah. So we didn't just do it all on our own. We actually just going to close that. We got new people in and we had to retrain them. So that's the bit that we had to do. So you technically are doing everything on your own because you're trying to train them, create new systems and procedures and policies in place so that way they can still do their job. So get rid of the trash, bring in good stuff. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so get rid of the trash, bring in the good stuff. Obviously you do have to train people up and that, because obviously you had to get rid of the trash pretty quickly because it wasn't a thing of just have them train the new people.
Yeah.
If you had to do it, before we go into some specific tools, like specific things around burnout, that let's just talk about the business side stuff. Knowing what you know now, would you have done anything different?
Yeah, I wouldn't have brought the company.
Okay, cool. Just plain and simple. Wouldn't have bought the company. But obviously there's a lot of pros out of the fact that you bought the company. What would you do if, with knowing, you bought the company and you buying the company again, what would you do differently from day one? Knowing what you know now.
I would just immediately, so this is the reason why I started my second business, right? I would just immediately outsource it. Immediately. So I've even got in my notes here, right? So part of anything that comes up, like what was something that you could do for your clients or something like that? It's like, no, the first thing that you need to do is let go. You need to stop being a control freak, and you need to make sure that you have people that are around you that you can trust enough to get that going. So that way you're not doing it all. And the moment I realized, that was in June, when I realized, so that was a couple of years ago. So when I realized that in June, I was like, do you know what? I need to back away. I need to let this go. So that's the very first thing I would do.
Perfect. I love it.
If you made me buy that company again.
If I made you buy the company again and you had to do it all over again as yourself now, what would you do different? Perfect. So you'd outsource. Perfect. I love that.
Immediately.
I was just telling you before we started to record, my very first interview with somebody was a guy who does similar thing with the VA, virtual assistants, but he, works in the state. He's based out of the US. And he literally says the same exact thing. He's like, that is the number one thing that I tell everybody to do: outsource. Don't do the shit that you don't love.
Yeah, exactly. Do what you do best. This is my motto. Do what you do best and outsource the rest.
Yeah. I love it. So, okay, cool. So we're into, you said June. I take it, when did you buy the company?
So it was a few years ago now. It's about 2018.
2018. So 2018. So when in 2018 did you buy it?
January.
And so and then June. So 6-7 months later. Okay. So let's talk about you personally now instead of just the business.
Yeah.
Because I take it burnout was massive within yourself with doing 100+ hours. First, what's your definition of burnout?
So mine's different to probably a lot of other people. So mine is exhaustion, obviously, but hateful. I hate.
Okay, cool. Perfect. You get, I
get angry.
Angry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I just get I hate. So I'll hate the business, or I'll hate my team, or I'll hate just people coming at me and talking to me. It's like, oh my God, just get away from me.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yep. Perfect. At least you can identify it. And, hate is, I always say this, my backstory is law enforcement here in New Zealand, and I got to a major stage of burnout with PTSD and all of those other fun things that come with a job. Mine was a lot of hate as well. I hated everybody. I was like, I can't trust anybody, and I hate everybody. They're all bad. So I can totally relate to that one. So June hits and you go, no, I can't do this anymore. What was it that made you realize, no, I can't do this anymore?
It probably, I can keep doing it. I'm one of those people, but it was the relationship between me and my husband. And that was not that we hated each other or I hated him, but the fact is that we were screaming at each other because we weren't, it wasn't to each other, it was at each other because we were so frustrated of the business. And I'm like, why am I fighting with you? I love you. I've been with you for like, 15 years. Why do I need to yell at you? And he's exactly the same. So literally that happened in July. So 7 months in, I booked it the very next day. I booked him a holiday to Thailand. I was like, do you know what? Go stuff the company, screw the company. You need some time out. And I'm taking a week off work. I didn't, but
I'm sure you didn't do 100 hours.
No, I fired 2 people the next day.
Some more hate. Perfect.
That made me feel so much better.
I'm glad I don't work for you.
No, they weren't doing their job. So yeah,
they needed to go and they weren't doing what they were meant to do, because that's the only reason you get fired.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So you booked him a holiday because you guys are fighting each other. Can totally relate to that one. I identified mine because I almost cheated on my wife, even though I love her dearly. So can totally relate to the whole, you just like it literally, you take it out on the ones that are closest to you. I constantly say, I do not know why she's with me still. It must be because she loves me dearly, but also two, she probably brunted the worst of all of it. And the partners always do when you start to get burned out, because you just start to lash out because they're the closest ones there, and they're the emotional punching bag, sadly.
Yeah.
Booked him a holiday. You booked yourself a week off, went and fired 2 people. Did you do 100 hours that week?
I think I only did about 60 hours.
Cool. So you did 40% less hours, which is probably a holiday, and at the time.
I had Saturday, Sunday off. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a holiday in your mind. It was a holiday compared to normal. But what was it that you went, because you said, forget the business, forget that, go, we need to have a break. And I know there's so many people that are probably out there listening, especially with the way the world is at the moment with COVID. They're like, I'm just trying to keep my head above the water as much as I can, but I know that I'm burning out. What was it that actually made you go, I have to do this and it's okay?
Yeah, like book the holiday and that type of thing.
Like going, this is enough. It's July. Like, we've been doing this for 7 months. We're literally trying to kill each other pretty much.
Yeah.
We need a break. We need to take some time and rest. What was it that actually got you to realize that and go, this is okay to take this rest?
And to be honest, you don't know it's okay. You don't know it's okay at all, because you're thinking you're screwing everything up by taking that week off. Even to be honest, I did it again to my husband. Obviously COVID, we can't travel, but just even the last 2 weeks right now, we've just had school holidays in Australia. And I told my husband he's having those 2 weeks off work, and it was kicking and screaming. He was kicking and screaming to say, I can't, I've got to get the laptop out. And I let him do that. But when my son got up for like the day or something like that, I literally just closed the laptop on, and he's like screaming at me. He's like, what are you doing? I need to. I'm like, yeah, I know you do. I know you need to, but you spent an hour this morning. It's fine. That's right. But like, I think it's really, really hard to know that it's okay. And unfortunately, for somebody listening to us, you're probably thinking, I can't take that time off. I can't take that week off. And do you know what? You probably can't, and you probably can't afford it, but money isn't everything. I know you started the business because you wanted more money, you wanted more freedom, more time to yourself. But if you aren't taking that time and that freedom, then you're not getting that money because you aren't resting. If you've got a team of people and they get their 4 weeks a year annual leave, and they get 2 weeks sick leave, and then they get 2 weeks public holiday throughout the year as well, what are they getting? They're getting all the benefits. What are you getting? Nothing. You're getting nothing. So you might have started your business because you want more money, but I can guarantee you the main reason why you started your business is because you want more freedom and you want more time to do things yourself. And unfortunately, it's really, really hard to accept that. And I still can't accept it, but I still go, well, no, I do need this. Do you know what I mean? Like yesterday, I went to a meditation group, and that's the first time I've ever done it. Like, and I felt bad sitting there, and the lady's like, why are you sitting here? I'm like, because I want to do something for myself. And she's like, good for you. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, I've been through hell. And to me, sit here for an hour and a half, I'm twitching.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk about that hour and a half real quick, because I have my thoughts on it, but I want to know yours on it. That hour and a half, after you did that hour and a half, how did you feel?
I felt amazing. I put my phone on airplane mode, and the lady next to me, she's like, "Oh, I've just checked my phone. I have 1 missed phone call, 3 text messages, and 4 emails." And I'm like, "Is that all you got in an hour and a half?" Like, damn, girl, that's good. And I'm like, I didn't say that, but you know what I mean? I get that in like half an hour. So yeah. I'm just like, when I'm like, no, I'm here for me. I need to be present for me. And the card I actually got, which is really, really amazing. Can I read this out?
Yeah, go for it.
Because I think your listeners would really benefit from this. So when you rock up to your meditation, like I said, I've never done this before. You had to pick a card, and it says, this is what the actual card, I had 15 to pick from. This is the one that came to me. So I turned it over, I read it, and it says, embrace change. As you evolve, you will change. These changes are necessary for growth and are an opportunity to explore new possibilities, and you may even surprise yourself. Remember, you cannot change and remain the same. Like, seriously, how much does that align with like everyone?
Yep. I don't know if you believe in like card reading and things like that. I've done it for a long time. I haven't done it recently, but I do believe that the universe sends you signs. And I believe that the universe literally will hand you stuff on a silver platter. And if you're looking, if you're open and your eyes are open, you will see it. And it does. It tells you exactly what you need to hear and see all the time.
Yeah.
So that's all. So you did the meditation. You felt amazing afterwards. Yeah. The card as you walked in was literally telling you that change is good.
Yeah.
Afterwards, how much more productive were you?
I didn't work for the rest of the day.
Perfect. How much more productive were you the next day, even though you didn't work? How much more productive were you the next day or that whole week?
And that was only yesterday.
Okay. So how much more productive were you this morning?
Oh my gosh, I've done leadership training with my crew that was impromptu, set a few people in straight, like to guide them, realign them. I'm also doing a full house renovation. I'm talking like a little bit, I'm talking the full house renovation. Got in there, guided the tilers, the plumbers, and the tradies, and the painters, so that way they had direction, because they were full flustered. I don't know why, but I was like, okay, here you all are. So pretty much done a whole day's worth of work. It's 11 a.m. and I'm done.
What time did you get up?
I started work at 9:30.
So you've been going for
2 hours.
2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours now.
Oh yeah, an hour and a half, yeah.
Hour and a half, and you've gotten all of that done. Would you have normally done that if you hadn't taken that time for yourself yesterday?
Yeah, probably not. Probably it would have taken me about 3 hours.
Okay, so it would have taken you double the time. I just want to emphasize that for listeners in that.
Yeah.
When you take time for yourself and you recharge, you come into things and things just go smooth. It just smooth. Things get done twice as fast. So when you're feeling like you're under the pump and you're like, fuck, I'm grinding. I've got to keep grinding. Take a deep fucking breath.
Yeah. It just gets you more calm. Like all day yesterday, I was so much calmer, and like I've been fighting with my son because he's 5 turning 15, and he's just like, and all these little things that because he's also got ADHD as well. So, but in the sense of the Energizer bunnies, so he's on lithium tablets, right? Yep. He just bounces off walls. And so it's like, oh my God, you drive me insane. But yesterday I was like, no, that's okay. We'll take you to a park and we'll make sure that we'll get, this type of slide for you, or this type of climbing things, instead of just getting on a push bike and going for a bike ride. So it was just nicer.
It opens your eyes more, doesn't it? Instead of having that haze over everywhere where it's so tunnel visioned, you end up being so much more open. It's pretty cool. What other tools and stuff, since going through experiencing all this burnout and that, and I know you're still working on it, as we all do, but what other tools have you learned, to help overcome or even prevent yourself from burning out and getting back to that July state?
Yeah, I think it's just being more aware. So you need to be very aware of not self-aware of you per se, but if you know that you're going down that path of having to work like at night, this is my biggest thing. When you know that you're going to be working late at night and you're pushing through, you need to stop that immediately. You as the boss, whether or not you have a team or not, are worth more than that. You need to, for example, and I do this all the time. I always pull my husband up, like he's my perfect little person that I always say to him, stop. Who cares about these crying clients that expect you to work on weekends or 5:30 at night time? Why did you start your business? Did you start your business to do that? And he's like, I didn't start my business to do this. And it's like, exactly. Who cares about that? So we went to a restaurant yesterday to have lunch after my meditation because I was so relaxed. And I said, let's go to the cafe down the road. We'll go to this one. It's a new one just opened up. And they don't open on Tuesdays. And I said to my husband, I said, now, see, do you hate that company? Do you hate that cafe because they aren't open on Tuesdays? Or do you respect them because they value their time and they value their days off? He goes, I respect them. I said, good. Respect yourself. And that's what I say to business owners, respect yourself. So that way you can do it.
Yeah, no, I it's so true. It's so true, isn't it? So you have, how many people do you have working for you guys? So
we have a team of 12 employees locally, and I have a team of 14 virtual assistants.
Okay, so you have, so about 24 different people that you kind of work alongside with all the time. What do you get them to do or tell them to do so that they don't get burned out?
Oh, nothing. I just tell them to do everything. But then I make them take their holiday leave. So
okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. So if you were looking at them after our little conversation here and that, what's some things that you could tell them? Not necessarily say don't work or things like that, but in their off time, in that holiday time, because I know so many people that on holiday time, they just go and do something. They just go and work doing something else, or they stress about work, or they go, shit, I'm holding out just for that holiday time. So in turn, they're burning out until they get to that holiday time. Then once they have that holiday time, half of them go, shit, I don't want to go back to work. Oh my God. And they dread Mondays. Yeah. What is it that you could just, tell them or even implement?
And that's for the team, right?
Yeah, for the team.
Yeah. So it's really cool because we have a great, and it really sucks because I don't really want to tell this to anyone because you're going to go, this is like a unicorn company. So we have such a great company that nobody wants to take annual leave. And it's like, you need to take time off. So it's a really good environment. Like, I really love it. So when it comes to Monday and you say, oh, I don't want to come to work, it's like, no, they're like, come on, they're messaging us on Sunday night to say,
that's perfect then. What do you do to create that?
Yeah. And I think it's just all about leadership. And I think it's all about respecting your teammates. And the biggest thing I believe in, because we've come from a position of 180 hours, right, per week. And our teammates know, like I call them teammates or employees, like our team knows that because they respect us for letting that portion of the business go to employ them, to have them work for us. Yeah. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah, so they respect that. They love that. We don't have a high turnover of staff. So if we do, it's because we pushed that person out because they weren't the right fit for us. And then we get a new person in and then that's all koshered. But yeah, so the biggest thing is letting their team know what they're doing for you. And I think that's really helpful because, wow, Chris, I just want to let you know that you've done such an amazing job this week. You've done this, and this over and above what you should have done or could have done. And we really appreciate it. Just stuff like that is so empowering to your team. And they're going to go, holy crap, these people respect us. Yeah. We're not a number. We're actually real people.
Yeah. Awesome. No, I love that. It's so true. Leadership makes all the difference anywhere. I remember the best sergeants that I had were the best leaders. And there was that respect. Is there anything else that you do? Like, obviously you tell them all the good things that they do and that you lead. How else do you lead them? And show that respect to them?
Yeah, so this morning, how I had to cram in a leadership meeting. So that was impromptu because one of our new tradies wasn't doing his job, hasn't been doing his job properly for the past few weeks, and it's sent through a massive ripple through the whole company. And I love it because the fact that the whole company, like in the administration department, the manufacturing department, and managers department are all complaining about this one person. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I brought the manager in, like the general manager and the manager of the administration department and the tradie. So it was us four having a meeting. And the first thing that I do is I sit down with them and say, by the way, I'm just going to call him Bill, let's call him Billy, so I don't want to use his name. So, hey, Billy, just letting you know, we're not actually, we're having this leadership meeting right now, and it's not going to be attacking or anything like that. We just need to iron out some creases. like just that alone shows you positive strength and a guidance for that employee to know that he's not being targeted in a
Well, yeah, and
environment.
have that side of thing of, hey, look, we want to help you grow as well. It's not a thing of we're attacking you, saying all these things that you're doing wrong, but we actually want to help lift you up because we care about you.
That's exactly right. Absolutely right. And he walked out there empowered, even though he's been doing so many things wrong. He walked out empowered, and we also gave him opportunities to give us we even gave him the opportunity to say to us what he needs to do to change, or what he needs to do from us to help him change.
No, that's awesome. That, and the reason I wanted to ask that, because I know there's so many different people out there, and I know so many different. I've had so many different. I know so many different people that have had terrible leaders in that, and it's such an important thing to have, because that's how you do create a good business, or you create a good team, whether you work in a business and you're a manager or not, is to have those conversations where it's not like, hey, you're doing something wrong. It's a thing of, how can we help you to lift up to the standard that we're looking for? Because obviously maybe you've been trained differently, whatever the circumstances are, how do we help you get up there if you're willing to?
That's right. And I think by asking that question instead of pointing fingers and yelling, like that's the difference. That's the difference between a leader and a boss. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. So, okay. Moving on to my probably my most favorite topic of all of it. You do you got the glass and the aluminium business that you guys have been running for a few years now. How long have you been doing the VA, the virtual assistants agency?
So it's only new. It's only a year old.
Okay,
only cool. Because I just want to add more work to my workload. COVID hits, and I'm like, well, might as well start a business.
Yep. Add some more value add. So obviously you love to give value. It sounds like you're a great leader. And so you're always wanting to empower people in that. Now, I'm a huge why guy. I love to know people's why, on why they do everything they do. My belief is that your why stems from childhood, like when you're a toddler, because of the things you saw or circumstances that you were in, and leads you either down a dark path, a good path, but ultimately in the same thing. It can be either one, even with the same why. My why is I don't want to see people in pain. This is why Fight the Burnout was started, because I wanted to give people the other tools, and I wanted to learn some more tools myself. I see what else was out there. And also it's why I joined the police. It's why I was so anti-bullying in high school, all of those kind of different things. And it stems back to my parents, seeing my parents fight, having arguments and things like that, and shit getting thrown, and it wasn't horrible. Like, and if I compare it to my policing days, it was actually extremely tame, and they weren't, they loved me dearly. We grew up on a sailboat, did all these fun things, but yeah, that's where it stems from. And I know that's where it does, because I've looked at it. What would you say your why is, Toni?
So, and I love this question, and I didn't know my why. I didn't know my why until last year. Right. So I already knew that I loved helping people. My dad and my mum are both very caring people, into the point of it used to drive me up the wall, because they would help people so freaking much. You just go, why can't you just stop? And to the point of, my husband says it to me as well. Like, the apple doesn't fall too far. No. And so I love to give, and I love to help, and I didn't know, but like that's fine, but that's not my why. That's not my purpose. What is your why, and what's your purpose? Right. And I didn't, and like, I don't know if you've heard of this guy, but I was following Cohen Ray. He's based in Australia, and I went into one of his mentor programs, and he's like, what's your why? I'm like, I don't know, help business owners. And he's like, but why? Like, how can you help business owners as a glass and aluminium business? I'm like, well, that's a great question. So every day, and that's going to be one of your questions, is like, what do you do? And I'm like, well, every day I ask myself, what is my purpose? Why? What is my purpose? Why? And it is actually, and it's the same as yours, but totally different. Mine is, I don't want to see business owners struggle, and I don't want to see business owners go through pain. Doesn't go well with my business, because I need business owners to go through pain before they realize, hang on a second, I need to outsource. I need to go through that next process to actually to take that next step in business. But once they're there, I love helping them, and I love to see their growth. So that is my purpose, and that's my why. Like, I love it. Even today. Pardon?
Where does it stem from?
From my family. Like, this is the way I was growing up. Like, I was growing up with so much love, and you give so much love, and that's all I want to do, is I just want to give and make sure that goes through. But my why stems from my 100 hour weeks of my burnout. It stemmed from my burnout, for me to recognize that.
What did your parents do?
My dad was in the army. He was in the military in North Queensland, and my mum worked on and off.
Okay, cool. So there was that whole creating less pain for people and helping people through stuff already in your childhood.
Yeah.
Seeing it. Your dad
Before I
was
was
away a
born.
lot and all of that. And then so, and this it's funny you say that. Like, mine, for ages, I used to go, hey, it comes from me burning out in the police. This is why I just don't want anybody to have any pain. And then I went back and I went, holy cow, it actually comes earlier. And that's just the big thing that actually made the actual massive fork in the road, that went, actually, no, this is where I found it, and this is what's caused me to do everything that I'm doing now. But it's actually been there, and you can actually see it if you actually go through your life, which we won't today, but you actually go through your life and you'll go, holy cow, I've done this in high school. I've done this in all my past jobs. I've done this consistently, and it's caused me to do all these different things. And I believe that if you stay focused on it, you can actually do anything that you're doing, you'll actually enjoy it, as long as you're applying it to that why. Then there's the thing of, bringing excitement to things and that. But no, that's awesome. So if you had somebody that was unsure on their why, or the purpose, you can call it. I like to call it your why, because it's a little bit different than purpose.
It is different.
What advice would you give to them to figure it out?
Oh, literally, well, I didn't know. And I've been asking myself for years, why am I here? Like, I would just keep saying, keep asking yourself, and just keep, like, even when I thought I got it, I didn't have it.
I do an exercise, and people will have heard this already, but I do an exercise with people and I ask them, why is it important?
Yeah.
So, I've got a lot of clients that want to be police officers, and I'm like, why is it important for you to be a police officer? But the real easy ones, why is it important for you to be successful? And then you just keep asking the answers of why it's important.
Yeah.
And why it's important to help people, why it's important to, and then whatever the next answer is. And most people get to about to that level 4, and they go, oh yeah, I got it. And then you start to dig a little bit more, and that's when you start to recognize, and if you're open and listen to it, and you probably have gone through this process already, is you'll start to answer the question in the same way, but with different words.
Yeah.
It has the same meaning, until you let go and you go, okay, cool. Well, where did it actually start from? Why did I start doing this? And, for yourself, you've went working 180 hours and no. But then you can go even deeper in it. But yeah, it does. It brings out that deeper thing of, holy cow, this is why I've been put on this planet, is to do this. Doesn't matter what I'm doing, it will hit here. Certain things will help you do it more and make you feel like you're impacting more, but you can shift it. And it's, but yeah, it is. It's asking yourself why. Just continually asking.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, like when I said I thought I had it, and I was like, no, that's still not my why. Like, my biggest thing is, and you can use that, and sometimes it might be overwhelming, because I've gone through that same process, and I'd write it down. I'm like, okay, and then I just revisit next week, and then I just do it again, and then again and again, and it's not until it really, and you take photos of, so I'm like looking at my whiteboard. So you just take photos of your notes each and every time, and then you're like, okay, well, let's have a review and revisit that, and just follow that through. And then you just work it out. No one else is going to work it out except for you.
No. And you normally will have that. Did you have that aha? It was like, oh my God, why have I not thought about this? Like, why did I not know this all along? This is literally it. What the?
Yeah, it was so bloody easy.
Yeah. Once you find it, you're like, holy cow, it's been there the whole time. Why have I not seen this the whole time? Yeah. No, it is. It is. I find, I don't know if you found this or if you did this, but having somebody else ask you it and question you on it.
I hate it.
And then I've got clients of mine that have been with me for a long time, and sometimes we'll be having a general conversation, not even doing any coaching, and they'll be like, but why, Chris? I'm like, why you?
You taught them well.
Yeah, I have. I'm like, okay, the Padawan is starting to take on the master. This is not
Love
right.
it.
It's awesome, but yeah, okay, go do it with somebody else. I don't like it. Okay, cool. So you do the aluminum and in the glass business. You also have the VA agency. Tell us a little bit about the VA agency. I'm curious about that one.
Yeah, so pretty much it's really, really amazing. I love it. Only because, like I said to my husband this morning, I said, oh, I've just got to make a quick phone call to a client over in Melbourne. So obviously a different state. And I come back and he's like, how was it? And he could see the biggest grin on my face. And he's like, gosh, I love your business. You don't have to worry about employees or anything like that. And I'm like, dude, I have 14 VAs, like, hello. And he's like, yeah, but I can see the impact that you're doing on the businesses, like all of these other businesses that I'm working with. And like I said, I've only started the business like in the last 12 months, right? And then in that, you've still got to learn and develop what the business is. So technically, I've only been having the business since this year, so 2021. And in that, you can see growth, you can see the referrals coming through and all that type of thing, because what you're doing is you're isolating a problem from a client, just one problem, and fixing it for them. And you're not even doing hardly any of the work. Like all you're doing is bring it to their attention. Just say, okay, so, you know, Chris, what's something that you're struggling with? Chris will say X, Y, Z. And you're like, okay, well, you can't get a magical unicorn to fix all of those problems. Let's pick one problem that's about 10 hours a week that affects you. And can we start from there? And some of the clients will say, no, like that's not enough. That's not going to make a dent. And some of them will say, yes, let's start with that, because they understand it's going to be an overwhelming process if we're dealing with 2 or 3 different virtual assistants to take off a big load of their work. Not everyone's working 100 hours. No. Even if they're working 60 hours a week and they're taking off 10 hours a week off that, that's a big difference. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's only 20% workload.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. I hired old clients to do some work for me, and it just made it so much easier at one stage. Yeah. Just like, oh my God, this is so much better.
and see like the power in your voice. You were just like, yes, yeah. That worked.
It was the stuff that I didn't want to be doing. So I was like, okay, who wants to do this? And they were like, yeah. So one of them was doing it for a while, and then I kind of shifted where the business was in that. So they weren't doing it anymore. But yeah, it was just like so relaxing. I was like, I can focus on the things that I actually enjoy doing, and do those for a while, but it also, the awesome thing, and the thing I've identified just with talking to you is it hits your why to a T. Like dead spot on. And so that's where it brings that even more passion. How did you decide to get into doing the virtual assistant agency?
Well, it was obviously, so in July when I had that burnout, I sent my husband to Thailand. In there, that's when I actually realized, hang on a second, I'm already using virtual assistants. Like I was using like someone for SEO and website marketing and all that sort of stuff. And then I thought, okay, well, hang on a second. I'm already doing that for my business. Why don't I outsource social media and bookkeeping? Like they're my 2 biggest hates that I don't like to do. And they were consuming 35 hours a week.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, hang on. And that's when I came to the realization. And then, without going into too much depth, I learned how to do that. I learned how to outsource. And like I said, it took me 3 months to learn how to outsource. I let 3 VAs down, and the 4th one, she's still working for me. So you know what I mean? Like I let them
find the right fit. You got to find that person that does the stuff that you don't enjoy, but does enjoy it and does it really well.
Yeah. Well, I let them down because they wanted information from me. I'm like, I've got no time to teach you. I've got no time. Yeah. And then that was when I understood the value of what I really wanted. And I really pushed for it. So I just eliminated whatever was in my working weeks calendar. And I just said, no, I need to outsource social media and I need to outsource bookkeeping and proceed with that. So once that happened and it spiraled, it just went out of control. I was hiring video editors, graphic designers, personal assistants, you name it. My number 1 personal assistant now has a personal assistant.
Cool. So
that's how I learned.
Yeah, perfect, awesome. I love it. That's so good. And for viewers and listeners, it's so important. Do those things that get rid of those things that you don't enjoy, because they are what's burning you out.
That's right.
If you enjoy what you're doing, you're not going to burn out as easily. You're going to have to force yourself to slow down because you're going to need to diversify a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, that's awesome. So what would be, when it comes to, well, I'll ask you two questions here. What would be the number one piece of advice you would give to listeners that are in the virtual assistants industry?
I've never been asked that. So if you are a virtual assistant and the advice that I can give you is to make sure that you don't pressure your client, especially when they're already maxed out.
Okay.
So take it in baby steps, be very flexible in the timeframes that they've allocated for you, and think outside the box.
Perfect.
That's my biggest one. And can I give an example of that?
Yeah, go.
So I've just hired a VA. Well, I've got a VA for one of my clients. He sells safety glasses on trade sites, and she was hired to do emailing and updates and customer service, right? So when people wanting to know when their products are being posted out and all that sort of stuff. Then she got an email to say, "Oh, hi, I'm just wondering to know when these pink safety glasses, like a breast cancer foundation one, will be available." And she's replied back, the VA's replied back to say, "Oh, sorry, they're not available for 4 weeks. However, we do have these other ones that you can have, and they have got polarized on them." And she sent them links. So instantly she's already thought outside the box. She's upselling for the company, and the company owners, the two boys, they were in love. They're like, "Holy shit, we've just been going, sorry, they're unavailable until the end of May." You know what I mean? And then she's actually gone ahead because she was being proactive, and it didn't cost any extra. Do you know what I mean? Or she didn't have to confirm with the two owners. She could have just done it, and they loved her so much more for it. And she gets bonuses now because she's thinking outside the box.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what would be the number one piece of advice you'd have for business owners?
Like we've said it a few times already, whatever stresses you out the most and whatever you aren't doing, like whatever it is that you're doing in your company that you shouldn't be doing, outsource that. Because the moment that you start being freed up, even when you said, like when you started outsourcing and you're like, yes, it feels so much better, it's only going to take 2 to 3 weeks for that VA to start making an impact on your company. And instantly, that's like instant, gratification in a business. When you've been in a business for 4, 5, 10, 15 years, 2 weeks is nothing, right? And you're going to see a massive result.
That's awesome. Okay, so Toni, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, and we'll put the links and everything down below in the description, but if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how do they do it?
Just the easiest way is the website is outsourcinglikeaboss.com.au.
Outsourcinglikeaboss.com.au.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Easy. And I take it there's a contact page in that, and email.
Yeah. All that stuff. It saves rattling off to go to my Facebook page or anything like that. It's all on the website.
Okay, cool, perfect. What I will do is I will go to the website, and I'll also grab the email and I'll put it in the description as well, so people can just copy and paste it.
Thank you.
So last question I have for you. I like to ask everybody this question. What is your top tip to self-happiness?
Definitely. See, it's really hard because I love everything. I really do. If I can get a few hours of my self-happiness is I only work 10 hours a week in the glass and aluminium business, right? And I was working 100 hours, right? So now I do 10 hours a week. How cool is that?
So from 100 hours to 10 hours, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And it went from when you were doing 100 hours a week, what was the revenue?
Well, we were still turning over the same revenue, what we are now.
Okay.
So based on $2 million. Yep.
From 100 hours a week to 10 hours a week, still making 7 figures.
Yeah. Oh, and my income's gone up.
So your personal income out of the
my personal income's tripled.
So out of the business, or out of by the fact of doing the VA thing as well?
No, just out of the business.
Just out of the business. So okay. So here's the title: 100 hours a week to 10 hours a week, tripling income while running a 7-figure business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Cool. So what's that top tip to self-happiness? Do less?
Yeah, do less. Literally, do less. I love it, Chris.
Figure out ways to do less. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, figure out ways to do less. And that's when I wrote down all your questions, literally my thing is outsource, don't do everything yourself. And I'm not saying that just to plug myself. You can hire a junior down the road from you, or you can hire your mum and dad, or you can do whatever you want. But think of it in a way that you don't have to work so much on jobs or tasks that are not relevant to you. Do you know what I mean?
I do, definitely. I do. That is, it's so true. And this is, again, I tell my story because I know it. I was so burned out that I almost cheated on my wife and I thought it was all her fault.
Yeah.
But really it was the fact that I was so burned out that I hated everybody and I just wanted to escape and I wanted to run away. And it's my way of self-sabotaging. And so, it took me having to do a 3-month motorcycle trip around the US, just forcing myself to talk to people again, just to refine myself and recognize it.
Yeah.
Do the things that you love,
Yeah.
and I'm going to put a little plug. Listen to all the episodes leading up to this one and the ones that come after this one, because there's so many different things. I remember one person said, to find that happiness, remember what you used to enjoy as a child and go back to it.
That's beautiful.
Start doing it again, because you enjoyed it as a kid, go back and start doing it again. And if you still enjoy it, keep doing it. But yeah, no,
I don't think I've grown up. I still do it.
yeah, I do as well. I'm riding motorcycles. I do stupid stuff. I make a fool of myself. Nothing's changed. Awesome. Thanks, Toni, so much for being on the show today and for being here and telling us everything and being open and vulnerable with us. Is there anything that you'd like to add? Any last words that you'd like to say?
No, I'm just grateful to be here, and thank you so much for having me. And I just really hope that your listeners just understand the power of burnout and how it can affect them. And by just making the small changes for themselves, you aren't hurting yourself. You're actually helping yourself. So yeah, I just really hope that they can take that alignment and just not feel guilty for it. You will, but you shouldn't.
You will in the beginning, but it will get easier. But you'll also find that everybody around you will benefit from it as well, and you'll have better relationships and better, happiness and everything. No, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Toni. And again, this is Fight the Burnout. Here we talk about training hard so that you test easy. I learned that from my policing days. We trained extremely hard, so when stuff did go down, it was easy. And I've taken that motto and shifted it over into what we do here at Fight the Burnout, as well as in my other business, Knocking Demon, because we always are going to get tested. Every single day we are tested in some way or another, and we want those tests to be easy, for us, so that it doesn't get transferred to family, anything like that. So if you are looking for any help, or you have any questions, or you have any comments or anything, either put them in down below if you can. Otherwise, send us an email at fighttheburnouttpodcast@gmail.com. That's fighttheburnouttpodcast@gmail.com. And we'd love to hear from you, love to hear your comments, your thoughts. And if there's somebody that that needs to hear this, share it with them. Give it that share, because, if we can help one person, that's all that matters, because that's all we need to be able to do, is just keep helping one person at a time, and we'll help the whole world. Until next time, we love you all, and thanks for listening.